So there will come a time when distributing is one option, but maybe not the easiest thing you could do. All right? And then we're going to add to it where you don't even want to ever distribute. So when we have just one thing on the outside and a group, you can distribute through and just use your normal rules. But when you have something like this where you would have to FOIL it out, you may have a higher room for error if you FOIL it out. And so they have this, what's called a product rule. The product rule says, okay, you basically have two functions. You have this first function, we'll just call it f. And we have this second function, we'll call it g. You could FOIL those two functions potentially, and then just take the individual derivatives. But another way you can do it is the product rule. This is how it will always work out. You can say the derivative of the first one times the second one just the way he is, plus the first one just the way it is, times the derivative of the second one, and then simplify that. Okay? So when I do these, I kind of decide what's my f, what is my g, what's my derivative of my f, what's the derivative of my g. So I'm going to say this first guy is f, and I'm going to say that this second guy is g. Okay? And so if I do that, I would say, well, the f of x is going to be x cubed minus 2x plus 7. Which means my derivative of that is going to be 3x squared minus 2. Does everybody see how I did the derivative of that group? My 3 went in front, it dropped to 1. My 1 that was on my x went in front, and it dropped to 0, no x's. So this was my derivative of that little first group, what we've been doing, right? So then we're going to look at my g. My g of x is 3x squared minus 5, which means my derivative of my g of x is just 6x. So those are the pieces that I need to plug it into my product formula. All right, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug it into my product formula. The product formula says I want the derivative of the first one. That is 3x squared minus 2x. Times the first one just the way it is, 3x squared minus 5. And then I'm going to add my first one just the way it is, that's x cubed minus 2x plus 7, times the derivative of my second one, that is 6x. You're just plugging it into your product rule. And at this point, you want to simplify. So while I still have to FOIL, I'm just foiling a 2 by 2 instead of a 3 by 2, right? And then I've already done the derivative. This is the derivative. So I'm actually done once I FOIL it and simplify. All right? And so I'm just going to FOIL it. 3x squared times 3x squared is 9x to the 4th. 3x squared times negative 5 is negative 15x squared. Negative 2 times 3x squared, negative 6x squared. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. Then I'm going to distribute the 6x. 6x times x cubed is 6x to the 4th. 6x times negative 2x is negative 12x squared. And 6x times 7 is 42x. And then just add your like terms, right? Is there anything in common with the 9x to the 4th? What is it?
6x to the 4th.
There we go. And I don't think I have any cubes, right? So then, is there anything in common with the squareds?
15.
Yeah, I have negative 15,
Negative 6.
negative 6,
12.
and negative 12, which gives me what? Negative 33, right?
Yes.
All right. I have 1x here. He doesn't combine with anything, so it's just 42x. And I have just a 10, which also doesn't combine. So that would be my derivative of that
So that-
whole function.
So that 10 would still be.
Because I've already taken the derivative, I'm not now taking another derivative. The process of doing this took my derivative.
Okay.
So I've already accounted for all of it there. Quotient rule is conceptually the same thing. You are just trying to find the derivative. So remember, the derivative tells you slope of the tangent line at that point. It can help you find the velocity function. It can help you figure out if you have a peak or a valley, right? If it equals 0. And so you may have more complicated ones that have some function in the numerator and some function in the denominator. And so if that happens, then you just do the same thing. The top one is your f, the bottom one is your g. All right, and this one looks a little bit different. It is subtraction here. The numerator looks identical to product rule, it's just subtraction. The derivative of the top one times the bottom one the way it is, minus the top one derivative of the bottom, right? The f and g. And then it's all over the original function that is on bottom squared. The original function that is on bottom squared. Okay? We'll do it together. So this looks just like the product rule, except it's minus, and then you put it over the bottom squared. So let's look at this example. You have the quotient rule, you have two functions, the function on top, and then you have the function on bottom. Derivative of the top times the bottom minus the top just the way it is, derivative of the bottom, all over the bottom the way it is squared. Top of page 771 in your book. All right. My f here is going to be the top one, 5x squared minus 3. The derivative of that is going to just be 10x, right? The 2 times the 5, drop it by 1, all right? Then we have g. G of x is going to be the bottom, x squared minus 6. The derivative of that is just going to be 2x. And now we're going to plug it into our rule, all right? We have the derivative of the top. What was that? Well, that was 10x times the bottom just the way it is, x squared minus 6. And then you are going to subtract. That is minus for this one. Now we're going to do the top just the way it is, times the derivative of the bottom, all right? We're just plugging it in. That whole thing is over the bottom, how it was originally, x2 minus 6 squared. All right? And by the way, I typically have you leave it like that. I don't have you FOIL the bottom. You just leave it as a group squared. Okay? I do make you simplify the top, but for the bottom, you just leave it the way it is. Okay? So let's simplify the top. Okay? We're just going to distribute 10x times x squared is 10x cubed. 10x times negative 6, negative 60x. You can distribute this way, but remember you have a negative, okay? So negative 2x times 5x squared is negative 10x cubed. Negative 2x times negative 3 is positive 6x. All right. On the bottom, leave it alone. X squared minus 6 squared, just leave that alone. I can simplify the top, all right? I can simplify the top. 10x cubed minus 10x cubed. It's zeros, right? Negative 60 plus 6 is negative 54x over x squared minus 6 squared. I am done. Okay?
So what is the